Hello there, my name is Brandon and I make pictures out of tiny squares. And in this video, I'm going to be creating different pixel art pieces based on these three brand new color palettes. And I say brand new because the way that I found these palettes is by hopping over to Lospec and I sorted the entries by newest. And then I just kind of scrolled through and picked out a few palettes that caught my eye. So these color combos are fresh on the scene and I just thought it'd be fun to see what kind of inspiration we can pull from these colors and see how they do in action. So let's get to it. So first of all, each piece that I'm going to make today is going to be the same canvas size of 120 by 120 pixels. I chose this size because it's relatively small, which means we can work up a few different pieces rather quickly. But even so, I'm often surprised with the amount of detail that can still be packed into a kind of small space like this. So it just feels like the perfect amount of restriction for today. The first palette we're looking at here is called Forgotten Swamp, and this was made by the user Cactus Celery. And you can see in their example images that they've got a few sort of creepy, swampy kind of vibes going on, which are very fitting, of course, for the name. But I thought I'd try my hand at using these colors for something more sci-fi and robotic. So I'm making this cross-section diagram of a Gundam unit. Specifically, this one is based off of the Jagan, or Yagan if you prefer the superior pronunciation. This happens to be one of my favorite mobile suit designs, and I've actually got a little model kit of this one off to the side near my desk. So I just sort of grabbed that to use as a live reference when drawing a lot of the shapes and the details here. This palette is only 4 colors, so it's got that familiar relationship of light to dark steps that you'd see in a Game Boy kind of appearance. But the unique thing here, and the thing that really drew me to this palette, was the selection of purple and green as the 2 middle tones. You could definitely see how those would work well for creating foliage and different kind of creepy atmospheres and stuff. But it's a pretty cool look in general that just feels like it's actually super versatile. And just, I think that combo of like the green and purple will just give this interesting and vibrant look to whatever you'd want to use it for. And in this case, I really liked how the green works well for the armor, while the purple is used for the shading on that and also for the exposed mechanical details. The last thing I want to try here is just bringing in some more of the white color as well. And that white, by the way, is actually just like a really pale orange, actually. And I thought I'd just try adding a few lines here and there as highlights, and that ended up giving a nice polish to the suit. So let's jump ahead and take a look at how the final thing came out. The next palette we're going to try is this one called Homework, which was made by the user 3D Crepper. Just like the last example, this one's also a 4-color palette, and they've noted here that they've tried to make it resemble the look of pen on paper. And the white color here to be used as the paper is actually a really light gray with a slight bit of warmth to it. And then this contrasts really well with the 2 middle tones, which are a blue and a cool gray that could be used as pen and pencil colors. This palette caught my attention because it immediately had this whole creative premise built into it. So you can see that I'm taking that up quite literally by creating this page of homework. And I don't know exactly what kind of class would be looking for this assortment of answers, but all the lettering here I built kind of from these 3x5 blocks that I'm erasing from to create each character. From here, I'm going to cover the page in a bunch of scribbles and doodles using the blue pen color. Just sort of in the way that your mind starts to wander during class and the paper slowly gets covered with just random drawings and turns into a bit of a practice page. One thing that worked really well here is to use the cool gray as a manual anti-aliasing on the edges of the blue. So you can use this for giving the effect of like softer contouring, or to give the effect of the pen streak kind of getting weaker and thinning out on the ends. Overall, this is a really nicely balanced palette for this sort of thing. And the colors are easy on the eyes and look fairly natural despite being so limited in number. And the final touch here was just using the black and gray to kind of chew into the edges of the paper and sort of rough it up a bit and make it look a bit organic. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the final pixel homework came together. The final palette for today is called Joker's Card 8, and this was submitted by Skettles. As you can see from their description, these colors were apparently sourced from some insane Clown Posse album art. And like, I know so little about them as a band, despite how long it feels like they've been around or whatever. But nevertheless, I'm a simple man, so I was just scrolling and I saw this rainbow array of colors along the entries there and these sort of crazy clown designs on the example artwork. Or I guess I should say insane clown designs. And it just looked like there was a lot of potential here for making something super colorful and fun. So going along with the music or band theme, I'm putting together this sort of rhythm game mockup, like a kind of Guitar Hero rock band type of structure to it. With a palette like this, where every single one of the colors are so punchy and so strong, it sometimes takes a bit to figure out the best way to try to actually use them all together. So my initial approach here was to start from that black background and then just paint in characters and details as these solid patches of like singular colors. Just so I could kind of plan out the overall arrangement of the main colors across the piece. I started to see how this was suiting sort of a loose or goofy type of appearance as far as like the drawing style. Almost like something that looks kind of low effort or simple, but still has its own charm to it, you know? But rather than keeping all the colors separated from each other like this, I wanted to explore what could be done with using them together within the same sprite work. So I'm doing a lap over the piece now where I'm incorporating multiple colors to use as different shading and highlight effects. And I think this does a really nice job at just instantly cranking up the vibrancy here. Like you really get some interesting, almost iridescent type of appearances when starting to toss all the colors together like this. It is one of those things though that like once you start going down this road of crazy highlights, the cat's out of the bag, so to speak. And so at that point, it just sort of suits the piece to really go all out with that treatment. So let's jump ahead and take a look at how the final Insane Cat Posse turned out. All right, well there we have it. 3 new color palettes and 3 new pieces of artwork from them. I think the most fun part of this was just the way that each color palette kind of brought about different inspirations here. So I'll leave links for each of these palettes if you'd like to give them a try for yourself. And we'll go ahead and close out with a quick triple CRT time. So thank you for watching and take care and keep it square.